All right, for your warm-up, you are supposed to plot the point 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, right there. And then it says to reflect it in the x-axis. So here's our x-axis. To reflect it in the x-axis, this becomes like a mirror. So how far is it from the x-axis? So we're going to go to the other direction. Number 2, we're going to point -1, 0. Go ahead and plot that. And then we're going to reflect it in the y-axis. Remember, y-axis is this one. That means we're going to flip it over that axis. It'll be right here, one spot away. So we do okay. All right. Now, today we're going to review horizontal and vertical translations. And we're going to review reflections, which we've already covered. But instead of doing them like graphically, we're going to write equations today. Okay? So this is a quick review on when we do horizontal translations, how the minus h or plus h, that's inside of the function itself. For vertical, it's on the outside of the function. And remember up here, what stands for the function? When I'm saying the word the function, what up here? F of x is the function. So I keep saying that word. If you don't know what function is, then that might be confusing. It's just the equation. So I'm going to go to the next page because that's a review over what we've already talked about. It's just screenshotted and printed out for you since we haven't handed out books. And then at the top is more reminders. Here's a vertical transformation or translation where it's on the outside. Here's horizontal where it's on the inside. And then one more thing about horizontal is, remember, it is always opposite the operation that you would see there. It's always opposite the operation. So if I see a minus h, then I would really be doing a positive h. Opposite operation. Writing translations of functions. Question A, we're going to write a function g. Can somebody grab that? Thank you. Write a function g right here. This is the name of the function. Name of new function. So that g out there tells me that I'm going to write g of x. That's the name of my new function, g of x. So write a function g whose graph is a translation 4 units up of the graph of f. So up is vertical. So if it's a vertical translation, that means outside the function. So I'm going to show you that in symbols, and then we're going to write it like the actual answer. So in symbols, if I have the function, the f of x, translate up 4 means add 4 to the function. The f of x, we actually know what that function is, so we're going to plug that in. We're going to replace f of x with absolute value of x. And then we're going to add 4 and see how it's on the outside. So that would be your new function. So question B, write a function h. Write a function h. That's the name. H of x. Write a function h whose graph is a translation 8 units down of the graph of f. So if it says down, that's vertical, which means it's going to be on the outside of the function outside of f of x. So my function, take away 8. That's going to move it down 8. See, that's on the outside. But what is the function? What is the f of x? What is it equal to? What's this? Absolute value of x. It's right here. So that is our answer. If I'm off the screen, because I can't see what I'm writing, you guys just let me know. C, write a function m whose graph is the translation 5 units to the right of the graph. So the name of the function is m of x. And we have to do 5 units to the right. Well, right is horizontal. Horizontal goes inside. And horizontal is always the opposite operation. So symbol-wise, what I'm going to write is I'm going to write f of, and then when I go to write the x part, that's the inside part. So I write x, and then this is to the right. So instead of to the right, I'm not going to write a positive. What am I going to write instead? Write a minus, and then 5. So that means we're going to take the function and move it right 5. See, it's opposite? It's weird. Anytime it's horizontal, it's opposite. So now what we do is we replace x with x minus 5 in the function. So instead of having an x in the function, we're now going to have an x minus 5. So you know the original function is absolute value x. We're going to replace x with x minus 5. So my new function is now absolute value x minus 5. Because wherever there was an x, I made it x minus 5. And then D, write a function p, so p of x, whose graph is the translation 6 units left, that's horizontal. So it means inside. Which means we're going to do the opposite. So we'll do f of, it's going to be on the inside, this is going to be an x plus 6. Because it says left, I'm going to put plus 6. And when it's on the inside, we replace x with x plus 6. Oops. So wherever I saw an x in the original equation, I'm going to replace that with x plus 6. So those should be pretty easy. They're one-step kind of things. But then we get to example 2, and the original function now is 2x plus 1. So it's not one of those parent functions. The original function is now 2x plus 1. So we just have to go off of this one. We're going to take this line, and we're going to write a function g, whose graph is the translation 3 units down of the graph of this one. So I know the name of it is g. It came from the description. And then what do I know about down? What does that tell me? Vertical, outside. Vertical, outside. So that means I take the f of x function and I subtract 3 from the f of x function. This is the f of x function. That goes in this spot. So I'm going to have g of x equals 2x plus 1 minus 3. You see how I replaced f of x with what it equals? f of x is 2x plus 1, I just swapped them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to simplify. So over here, when I simplify 2x plus 1 minus 3, these are like terms that I can combine. And we get 2x minus 2. Now it says to show this graphically as well. I'm going to go kind of fast through the graph because we've already taken a quiz on graph, and that should be, and most of you got hundreds on it. So this should be pretty easy. But I don't want to take the time to graph every single one of these in class because it'll eat up too much class time. So I'm going to graph this. It will be on the video if you want to go copy it down later. But the original question is the y-intercept 0, 1, the slope of 2. So I'll start at 1 and then I'll go up 2 over 1. So that's the original function. And then this new function, this one here, g of x, is a translate 3 units down. So if I just count 1, 2, 3 units down from each point, then I'll have that new function. And I'm going to ask you guys this new function, what is the y-intercept? 0, negative 2. And if you look here, that's what the equation said as well. And what's the slope of this new function? It's the same as the first one, m equals 2, and that's what it says right here. So you can check to see that our graph and our equation is correct. You could also graph them on your graphing calculator to make sure that it is correct. But I'm not going to do the rest of the graphs today because I just want to get through how to write the equations. And then if you want to work with me on graphs, we can do that as well. So part B says, write the function h, whose translation is 2 units to the left of f. So I'm going back to f. I'm not using g at all. I'm just doing h. And to the left is a horizontal, which means what? Everybody. What's horizontal mean? Inside. Everybody, what's horizontal mean? Inside. So when I write the formula, I'm going to go f up, and it's going to be on the inside. We're going to do x, and then to the left, I have to do plus 2, because remember, inside is always opposite. So this says to replace x with x plus 2 in the f equation. Replace x with x plus 2. That's what it says. So in the f equation, I'm going to do 2 parentheses x plus 2 plus 1. So wherever there was an x, I made it an x plus 2. Do you see that right here? Wherever there was an x, it's right here. I made that an x plus 2. And then what should we do? Simplify. Which I'm going to distribute the 2. Now have h of x equals 2x plus 4 plus 1, and then we'll combine like terms to 2x plus 5. Excuse me. And then flip your page over when you're ready to go on. It says to check answers in your graphing calculator. We're not going to take class time to do that. Wakey, wakey. I'm nice at the beginning of the year. Hard after lunch. We can turn on the lights though. If you guys are too tired, you can make it bright in here. All right, reflections in the x-axis and reflections in the y-axis. Here, right here, that's how you say it. Reflect in the x-axis or reflect in the y-axis. y equals negative outside of the function is a reflect in the x-axis. If it's inside of the function, it's a reflect in the y-axis. Do you guys remember me doing this thing? This is the x-axis. If I reflect something in the x-axis, what direction is it going? Vertical, up and down. So that's why that one's on the outside, because it's vertical reflection. So what we're going to do, excuse me, is our new f equation is absolute value x plus 3 plus 1. That's the f equation. We're going to write a function g, whose graph is a reflection in the x-axis of the graph of f. What's it mean if it's in the x-axis? And if you don't remember, you pull out your x-axis, you go, what direction am I reflecting? Vertical. So that means we're going to be on the outside of the function. The outside of the function. So the way I'm going to write that is I'm going to write a negative sign, parenthesis, f of x, close parentheses. So that tells me the negative goes outside of the entire function. So then we'll write the entire function in there. So I'll copy that negative sign in that parenthesis, but I'm going to put the entire f of x function in there. So absolute value, x plus 3 plus 1, close parenthesis. And we will simplify this. And we're going to simplify by distributing that negative sign to the absolute value and to the 1. But be careful. Because in the absolute value, you can't take a number and multiply it on the inside. You can't take it. You can think of these being kind of like walls, and you're not allowed to pass through that brick wall. So you just put that negative sign in front of the wall. So I would rewrite this as g of x equals, I'm going to rewrite this negative, and then absolute value x plus 3. And then I also have to take the negative and multiply it with the plus 1. So that's minus 1. So it changed the absolute value, and it changed that number on the outside, both signs. Because it happened to the whole function. You following or not? I can't follow. So part B, we're going to write a function h, whose graph is a reflection in the y-axis. So that's going to be horizontal, which horizontal means what? Inside. So we will do f, and then we'll have up, and you'll put negative x inside of it. And you'll say this is replace x with negative x in the equation. Wherever you see an x, you replace it with negative x. So I'll start writing the equation. The equation is absolute value. Oh, and there's an x. What do I replace that x with? Negative x. Then we have plus 3. Close the absolute value, then plus 1. If I can simplify it, I'm going to. And for simplifying this, I don't really need the parentheses. So I'm just going to have h of x equals absolute value, negative x plus 3, and then plus 1. So there's some student practices, and I want you to try those student practices, but at the same time, I'm going to send each row, row by row up to get a computer. When you grab your computer, you grab the number of mailbox, the number that you're sitting in. That's the computer that's going to be your computer to use, okay? So the only reason you wouldn't use your computer number would be if it wasn't there or if it wasn't working, and then you ask me which number to get. Otherwise, get the computer that you're sitting at. So I'll have 1 through 4 go up and get it. And everybody else, I want you to work on these student practices. See if you can answer these questions from what we just did. birthday is tomorrow, isn't it? Or is it today? Today? Today. Taylor? Happy birthday! I got a present for you. Do you want a sticker that says it's my birthday? Will you wear it? Maybe you sticker? I'm not going to. Okay. Some people don't want to wear it. I understand. Alright, the second row, you guys want to go grab, what is it, 5 through 10, I think you guys are. And then you're working on the student practice. If you're not getting your computer, you've already gotten it. Student practice. Gotta try it on your own so you can get it. What is it? Choosing to not do that? It's not a very good choice to make. Next row, what are we on? This row, 11 through 15. So the very first one, you decide that this is translate up, which means vertical, which is on the outside. So my g of x is going to be the function plus 5. So my g of x will be 3x plus 5. Just adding 5 onto the outside of the function. Number 2 is translate 4 units to the right. So that's inside. That's horizontal. So we will have g of x equals f of, you put it inside the parentheses, and it goes opposite. So this is right, but I'm actually have to minus 4. And then we have to replace x with x minus 4. So my g of x is going to be parenthesis, here's x, I'm going to make it x minus 4, not parenthesis, I meant absolute value, and then minus 3 comes down at the end. That's the final answer for that one. I'm going to pause. You guys finish these up. Fourth row, you all come up and get your numbers. I can see what numbers you're sitting at. Are you already got yours? Oh, yeah. So what number are you? 18, so number 20, number 21. And then when they're done, you guys can go up to that too. Is this your plan? Or is this? Well, it's really organized, you probably want it. So the reflection in the x-axis. Reflection in the x-axis, is that horizontal or vertical? That one's vertical, because remember when you reflect in the x-axis, you're reflecting over the x-axis that goes up and down. So this is going to be g of x equals negative of the function. The opposite of the whole function. So we're going to do negative of this entire function. So negative absolute value x plus 2 minus 1. So some people in my other class were like, well, this one is already a reflection. So what you're doing is you're doing a reflection of a reflection, which pretty much just puts it back where it should have been in the first place. So it's okay. We're going to distribute that negative to both pieces, and we'll have g of x equals absolute value x plus 2, and then plus 1. So we just changed both sides. And then number 4, yeah, you guys can go grab it. Number 4 says a reflection of the y-axis, so that's horizontal, so that'll be on the inside. So we'll be doing g of x equals f of negative x, you put on the inside. And this is the kind that we replace. So we'll have g of x equals wherever I see an x, I'm going to make it a negative x. So I'll have 1/2 parenthesis negative x plus 1. So what's wrong? What number? There's no 23 then? Okay, get 23 too. No, she's 23. I lied. Get like the last one, 27, 29, whatever it's named. All right, and then to simplify this one, we'll just multiply the 1/2 by the negative x, which will give us negative 1/2 x plus 1. With that answer. All right, I'm going to keep this recording because if somebody's not here and they want to know how to get on the computer, I'm going to show you guys some stuff. But that's all we're doing for notes for today. So you need to get on, and you need to log into One Login. You can get on the computer, go to One Login, and I have the website up here on the board. If you don't know how to get to One Login, I think there's even a icon on the computer, but you won't have the icon at home. If you don't know how to get to One Login at home, you just literally type in lakota.onelogin.com. It'll take you straight there. There's another way of getting to it from our Lakota page. I don't know exactly the way though. And then your ID has to be like your .name at lakotastudents.com, where you're not going to be able to get in. So I need to make sure that everybody can get in, because this is where your homework is going to be today. Your assignment is going to be on this Big Ideas online. If that does that for a good minute or so, switch out and get one. We used to get that top one that doesn't see. Okay, once you've gotten in, then you're going to go find the icon that says Big Ideas Map. So once you've gotten in, go find that icon, and we're going to go look for the online map book. Oh, and you're going to have to click that login with Active Directory. So try to find the book.
I'll show you what it looks like when you look for the book. Right there.
So if you're able to get on, look for the book. It has an icon like that, and you're going to go find page 16 if you can open it up. If you got a,
it kind of looks like an error. I don't know if it's going to do this at your house or not. I think it'll do it for me probably again. Nope, didn't do it for me because I'm not logged out. If you get some error that what if I do this? I'm trying to find that same error so I can show you guys. Do you have the errors? That way you were calling me? Yeah. Hi, I'm logged in, so it's not going to show me that same error.
Anyway, just click the, oh, you're good. It's the thing on the left that says, log in with Active Directory. Go ahead and click that. Log in with Active Directory and it'll get you in. I don't know what that is. That's new since last year. All right, so you're going to try to find the book, and you're going to go to page 16 if you got into the book. So find the book, page 16. The icon is up on the board. And what you're doing right now is you're learning, since I have not handed out books yet, where can I find the book if I need to go look in the book? So this is literally the whole book, copy and click online, so you don't have to carry the book around. And it even has more features than our book has better stuff than our book.
So as the rest of you are getting on there, I want to pull up a cool feature. That's not it. So I went to page 14. I just went back a couple pages because I wanted to show you there's these arrows right next to examples. And if you click on this arrow, it says tutorial. It's not on our real book. This is only on the online book. If you click on it, it has the example.
f of x equals the absolute value of the quantity x minus 1 plus 2. Part A, write a function g whose graph is a horizontal stretch of the graph of x by a factor of 5. A horizontal stretch.
Okay, so you see how, like, the guy is talking through the whole thing, and then he's, like, going to work it out. So there's tutorials there. And right at the bottom, if you wanted to watch this in Spanish.
Sea la función f de
In
x
Spanish.
igual al valor absoluto de x menos 1 más 2. Parte A. Escribo una función g cuya gráfica...
I want to see if she writes in Spanish or just English.
f con un factor de 5. Un tramo
Yeah.
horizontal con un factor
So
de
the language is still English, but you can hear the Spanish. So they do have tutorials built into your book. You can also click on...
Let f of x is equal to the absolute value of x minus 3 minus 5 of x
Oh, no.
is equal to the absolute value
Stop it. I didn't know how to make it. If you click on words, it says it to you as well. And I think for my Spanish-speaking students, I think they have the book in Spanish on here too, if that helps. Okay. All right, so now you guys, you want to go, so there was, I had my book open, but over here is my tab that has those main icons. At the top, middle, you see where it says assignments. Go back to that tab, go click on assignments, go back to the tab, click on assignments. There we go. And your assignment for today pops up, and you enter, go into it, do it. Enter it. Enter. If you're using Firefox, it doesn't work as well. At home, you need to use Chrome. You guys, you can leave this. You need to log out, but you can leave the computer here for the next class. We'll do it. This is your assignment. This is your assignment. You need to go on and do it on there, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Okay? If you have any questions, send me an email. Receive it. My next class is going to use it anyway. Don't knock it out the desk.